Most important thing in business is honesty, integrity, hard work, family, never forgetting where we came from.
Welcome to the Network Show. I'm your host, Lawrence Wingate.
And I'm Nancy White, your host. And today we have John Vieregg with COCOtiv Co-working here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So welcome, John. We are so grateful that you agreed to be interviewed and to be able to share with everybody more about what COCOtiv is. But first, before we get into what that is, we would love just to know a little bit more about you.
Sure. Where do you want me to start?
So John, in your past, because so many people are entrepreneurs in
Yes.
this day and time. I left corporate America 35 years ago going, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. Was completely clueless. Had never had anybody in my past that was an entrepreneur. My father was an electrical engineer, president of a company, and my mom stayed home. So what was it in your past? Did you have any experience with entrepreneurship?
Yes, I came from a family. My father was a third generation cattle rancher in Nebraska. We had a 10,000 cow-calf operation. So while most kids were out playing golf and swimming in the summers, I got to go work on a cattle ranch. And you do everything from fencing to painting to brandings and many other things that went along with that job. And it was just a great way to learn a strong work ethic. And with ranching, it's so entrepreneurial because you got market forces that dictate the price, and having to deal with blizzards and droughts and disease that affect your cattle. So
And your bottom line.
and your bottom line, very
yeah.
much. So I wouldn't give that upbringing for anything in the world.
Wow, that is fantastic.
So as you was going through your experience of cattle ranching, what did you learn along the way from being cattle ranching to entrepreneurship?
I think entrepreneurship is something that is innate. I think it is you're either born with it, and I think over time what I didn't appreciate as much, being so young and having grown up working on the ranch, was the amount of risk that's involved. And I think with any entrepreneur, you've got to get over a risk aversion, because at some point, regardless of all the consultants you have and demographic studies you do, you're going to have to take some risk.
Exactly.
And that's, that doesn't change over time regardless of what the business is.
Mm-hmm. It's great that you recognize that too, because there's so many people that just jump right in and they don't wait, they don't prepare, they don't do anything, and they learn as they go, which we all have learned as we've gone and have gone through those stepping stones of growing a business. So I think it's very interesting, and you've had several different other businesses before you started this one. And do you look back and see how those businesses also helped you to learn today for what you're working in?
Oh, absolutely. I think obviously experience is the best educator anyone can have. And interestingly enough, I think actually having a couple businesses fail probably was the greatest life lesson I've learned, and how to persevere through adversity, and how to take that knowledge and hopefully not to make the same mistake in the future.
That is great. And that's fails. We all go through those times, ups and downs. And
Right.
I'm co-authoring with the group, and the chapter of mine is called "Thank You So Much for Stealing My Invention." And that's going to be another story. But anyways.
So through your failures of your previous businesses, what is the one thing that you learned from it?
Oh, do we need to stop about that?
Well,
Or we're going to listen to it? Well, so we're going to ask John this question so you can listen and then find out the answer. So John, just thinking back, if you could have done something differently, something you would never ever have done if you had known afterwards what that was, what would that be?
Well, that's not a loaded question, is it?
Yes, and guess what?
we'll be right back.
And
to
you
get
can
that
hear that answer. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Akisa Bryan, your go-to realtor with COCOtiv Properties here in Charlotte, North Carolina. As a recent homeowner, I understand the anxiety and frustration that comes along with purchasing the home of your dreams, which is why, as your realtor, my priority is to make sure the process is as smooth as possible for you.
Welcome back to the network show. I'm your host, Lawrence Wingate.
And I'm your host, Nancy White, and we have John Vieregg with COCOtiv co-working with us today. And before we left for the commercial, we asked John a question that every single one of you are sitting on the edge of your seats to hear the answer. So John, looking back over your entrepreneurial journey, what is one thing that you would absolutely never ever do again?
That's a very good question. I think the missed opportunities by really sort of going with your gut.
Okay.
And there was a store that I opened in Asheville, and I just didn't feel comfortable the whole time. And I just, I had a developer that was just saying how much they needed this and sort of sold me on it, but I never sold myself. And I should have just stayed with my instincts and avoided that. And on the contrary, there were a couple of opportunities that I really felt good about, and I ended up just talking myself out of it for whatever reason. At the timing wasn't right, and now looking back, I'm thinking I just missed the boat completely. So I guess it's more than anything going with your instincts. Obviously study and research with all the resources that are available, but if an entrepreneur is going to be successful, at some point they just have to say, okay, we got to do this.
Absolutely. And that gut instinct is huge because, when your spirit or your gut is ruffled and you don't have that peace about
Right.
something, I have learned too that I have to wait.
Good advice.
Let's talk about COCOtiv. For our viewers, can you explain what is COCOtiv?
Sure. COCOtiv actually stands for co-working, collaboration, and cotivation. I think most people know the first two terms of that word. Cotivation is a term that we coined with other entrepreneur independent co-working offices throughout the country. Led by a group out of New York that was one of the first co-working operators in the country. And what cotivation is providing an ad hoc board of directors. So an entrepreneur such as yourself isn't doing everything on his own. And it's a short-term period where we set goals and objectives, and then have an accountability group to see how we're progressing with those. So I think that's one of the things that is really going to separate us from other co-working operators. And also our relationship with Pfeiffer University, which is located down below. We're actually working with Pfeiffer to provide interns for special projects and in other programs that will further enhance the educational element. We actually have a program that allows their students a discount on our membership, and in return, Pfeiffer gives us a discount on tuition for any of our members, and veterans get up to a 25% discount. So it's a great program.
That is fantastic.
Awesome.
That's when it works both ways.
Right.
And that's what, being entrepreneurs and collaborations, those are the things that are so important when it benefits everybody. And I will tell you, your place is absolutely gorgeous.
Well,
And
thank
so
you.
Yes,
it
yes.
has so many things. The facilities that you have here, this room, and then also your closed offices, your open spaces, and then you've got your soundproof rooms. And so you've got technology to the max here. And I hear that you are opening some more spaces because you pretty much sold out of this space.
We had a very good, our first year will end in August, and in September we'll be doubling our space. We're taking another floor, and we have a very good relationship with our owner and landlord, Grubb Properties, and Grubb actually has other properties throughout Charlotte, and we're looking at another possible expansion, and then some other areas in more suburban locations throughout Charlotte.
It's fantastic.
So COCOtiv is actually expanding at a relatively great pace.
Controlled.
Controlled,
I mean, we
yes.
want to obviously meet the demand first, and we're seeing that from within. And then we've identified other areas in Charlotte that we feel are lacking, and there's going to be growth opportunities in those areas.
Well, one of the perks that you have here, and since I'm in health and wellness, I really think is awesome, is that you are not only available 24/7, but you've got a fitness facility that your members can take advantage of, correct?
Yes, we're lucky to be right next door to Ortho Carolina, and all the tenants in this building and across the way have access into their fitness center. So that's a great perk. In addition to the free parking that we
Yes.
offer, which can get very expensive in uptown locations.
Absolutely.
Now, COCOtiv, as Nancy has said, is a beautiful place to be. But as a filmmaker, I love this place because of the lighting.
Oh,
No matter where you go, there's great lighting.
Waiting.
yes.
You know, is that by design or is that just?
I think it was one of the challenges we faced with this building because it was an older 70s style building with low ceilings and very sort of narrow floor plates. But what we found is the natural lighting with all of our glass flowed through. So we just enhanced that with great LED lighting up above, but we can almost get by without any lighting where the natural lights flows through without.
All right.
Yeah.
Great.
So how can people learn and get more information, John, about this beautiful facility and come and visit?
Just come by 1515 Mockingbird Lane, or they can check out our website and see what different membership levels we have and different events that we're continuing to host throughout the year.
That is great. Do you want to give them your website or shall we just post that for them?
www.cocotiv.com.
That's great.
Well, John, we thank you for coming on the show, and we really appreciate what you're doing here in Charlotte and around the city as well.
Thank you.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic resource for people, and we do not want it to stay hidden. We want this beautiful gym to have great exposure and so that other people can learn about it.
Well, thank you both.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
the
much.
opportunity.
Oh, thank you. Well, that concludes this episode of the Network Show. Have a great day.
Bye.
The most important thing in business is honesty. Integrity, hard work. Family. Never forgetting where we came from. So you are what you are in this world. That's either one or two things. Either you're somebody or you're nobody. The most important thing in business is honesty. Family. Never forgetting where we came from. So you are what you are in this